welcome to another edition of the Good Life Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Blakely, and I am pleased to be joined again by Richard Barajas of Kearney Combat Sports and Fitness. Richard, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you again. So let's get into it. What books are you reading right now or listening to?
Right now, a friend of mine put me on to Vivid Vision.
Okay.
Vivid Vision is about putting down your vision. I'm a visionary. I like to see the future. So when he told me the title of the book, it kind of stood out to me. So the book's about being as descriptive as possible with how you visualize the next couple years of your business. So,
Okay.
Haven't quite finished it yet, but just by saying that, you kind of get the gist of it.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been writing down this big vision for 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years from now, and then my goal for the next 3 years. So
Nice.
really good book, and it just kind of speaks to my soul. But you know, myself, I feel like I'm a very visual person. So
Is that easy to do, to plan 10 years down the road for you? That's hard for me.
planning 10, 20 years down the road isn't like, I'm not so detailed on that, but there's a I don't know, a wider vision. It's a big vision.
Yeah.
You have to be able to fill in to me, you have to fill in the meat on the bones.
Mm-hmm.
It's this big skeleton of a vision that you have.
Yeah.
So part of my vision is owning a franchise, getting into real estate, owning a production company, and it's so big, it's
Nice.
so crazy that if I don't put all my effort into it, it'll never happen.
Right.
So that's 20 years down the line. You know, hopefully I have a franchise for martial arts gyms and all that, but getting to more practical steps,
Yeah.
I have to get to 120 members, you know, and then I have more income to play with, and then from 120 members, you know, you can do more, and then you get to 150, 200.
Yeah.
But before we get to 120 members, I have to expand the mat space. So some things that we're doing right now, how that vivid vision looks like in practical application would be, we're remodeling the gym because we don't have enough space here to hold 150 members. I want to be able to hold at least 150 members here,
Yeah.
or maybe 200 members. So we're remodeling here, and we're expanding the mat space, and yeah. So that's some of the first practical steps, and even just thinking that way. So we had to host a fundraiser in order to raise the funds to buy the mats, and then for the construction and all that. So it's like, if you don't have that big vision out here, you're not taking those first steps down here.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of the way I've been looking at it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of have the big goal and then back your way into it and figure out what you need to get there.
Fill it in as you go.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
What about podcasts? Any new ones you're listening to?
I really don't listen to too much podcasts. We do have Josh White, the Ugly Franco here, hosting a podcast for Kearney Combat Sports.
Okay.
He's been doing that for 2 months now. So we have about 8, I think today will be the 8th episode.
Okay, nice.
That will be putting out. I listened to that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But besides that, I don't really listen to too much. Just kind of reading and writing right now. Trying to write out what the next couple years look like and going from there.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, for those who didn't listen, this is a follow-up episode. I interviewed Richard probably a year and a half ago, for sure a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those who maybe didn't hear that, tell us more about Kearney Combat Sports and what you do here and what you've got going on. And you've kind of given us an idea of, you know, your big vision, but what's going on right now?
What's going on right now in the gym is we're expanding mat space, so we're growing, classes are growing, everything's growing. Our main emphasis is, there's a lot of emphasis here on different classes, but there's a youth program, a youth jiu-jitsu program, which I coach. I'm involved in the coaching in all of our youth programs.
Okay.
The other part of it would be our adult programs. Our adult programs are either jiu-jitsu in the gi or no gi. We're adding a intermediate no gi class, or excuse me, an intermediate gi class.
Okay.
And that's gonna be taught by Rachel Silverman.
Okay.
And she's a professor at UMK right now. She just moved in from California. Getting to know her has been fun. She's a really interesting person.
Nice.
She's also a brown belt, so she's higher belted than me. So
Okay.
it's good to be around people that are experienced and have a good, solid, fundamental background in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, so, and she's also a smaller woman. So when you're smaller in the sport, you have to be more technical and more precise. So her technique's really good, and I've been watching and kind of studying that. So having her on board, she's going to start coaching a trial week class or a trial class next month. I'm going to see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to take off because she's awesome.
Did she reach out to you before she moved here, or like did she research you guys at all?
She did, and as soon as she did, we're like, oh, she's a brown belt, or I think she was a purple belt at the time. So like, oh, she could potentially come in and help, especially with her. I think I forget what exactly she teaches at UNK, but she's like involved with sports marketing, management, or something like that. Right away I'm thinking, well, she could help. I could learn from her. So, and it's just about getting to know her and all that stuff too. But she seems to be like a really great person. You know, coming from California, I'm like, all right, well, who knows what we're getting? You know, I'm from California, so it's like, but she's turned out to be a really good addition to the team.
She was probably ecstatic that you guys were here too, or like that you had this going on.
Oh yeah, because when you're in love with the sport, like most of the people are here, there's nothing that replaces it. So if you move to a town and they don't have it, it can be devastating. So I'm sure she was a little nervous and anxious, and I'm sure she was thinking, I hope they know what they're talking about over there.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm hoping
I guess you'll find out.
Yeah, I'm hoping she likes it so far. We're in the Midwest, so it's a little bit slightly different grappling style, I think, than the East or West Coast. So
that's awesome.
What else we have going on are our fight team classes. So since the last we spoke, we've really gotten in a groove with how we're separating our athletes, our competitors, and this is always going to get more fine-tuned, and then our people that are there to learn martial arts and not necessarily compete, because there's two different animals there.
Yep.
So me being passionate about cage fighting and MMA, we've really put an emphasis on how these guys need to be training, and we've separated them from the other classes, but now there's a certain amount of standards and a way of training, a way of being, I guess, as we're preparing for fights. And like I said earlier, we just had some fights Saturday, and yeah, the proof is in the pudding, right? We put all the work in, and we wound up going, what was it, 4-1, 5-1?
Nice.
Over the weekend, and yeah, it was just a beautiful weekend, exhausting weekend, but all the things we talk about every day and everything we do. So yeah, so the emphasis is we're pulled in many directions, but we have a good coaching staff to help navigate that. Guys that are passionate about jiu-jitsu, passionate about MMA, kids classes. So I feel like we got it all covered right now, and we're growing. So
absolutely, you kind of have to offer a lot of variety in different classes, because there's not really anything like this, not just here in Kearney, but really, as far as I know, in the area. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, there isn't much. There isn't much like this, and the reason I feel like there isn't much like this is such a hard thing to do, and to stick around and to see the vision of a successful business in a smaller town. You know, I feel like Kearney's right at that place where it's 35,000, something like that, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Where maybe people don't feel like they'll make enough money to stay or stick around. I view that as you yourself being the bottleneck if you have that kind of mindset.
Yep.
You know, well, if you don't feel that way, then very obviously you're probably never gonna get there.
Right.
My mindset has never been that. So I've always visualized a successful gym, a successful business here, and yeah, part of that is really investing in our kids, in our kids programs, and there's nothing like that around for kids. So if you're talking about what you want your child to experience Like there's nothing better than martial arts. And martial arts should sell itself, right? Martial arts in itself will teach a kid discipline, hard work, all those things. But then you apply that with the mindset that I have or that our team has, and we're here, we're professional, we're getting after it every day.
Yep.
We're enthusiastic, we're professional about everything we do. So martial arts coupled with that, and it should just be spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of hitting that a little bit. People don't know quite yet what jiu-jitsu is in Kearney. I feel like it's always behind.
Yep.
But once it becomes more normal, it's just gonna be the only place to train.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you want.
Yeah.
What has grown? So since the last time we talked, what changes has your business gone through? Whether it's, and I guess specifically talking about the classes, are you training more fighters for cage fights now? Do you have more kids that are coming in to your kids' classes? Are you having more people that are maybe just coming in, not necessarily to fight, but they want the exercise, they enjoy the camaraderie? Have you seen an increase in all three of those? Is there one that really is, taking it up a notch above the others?
Yeah, so we've seen an improvement in each one of those, and improvement doesn't necessarily mean a lot of growth, but just a more smoothly ran class.
Yep.
With a better understanding of standards, and so all those classes have grown as well. But for example, our MMA fundamentals class is now our biggest class.
Okay.
And a big part of that is due to how active we are on the competition scene, but it's also how well my coaches have carried themselves, and they've competed and they've built relationships. So Jose Hernandez is the guy leading that class, and he's just been on fire this whole year, just competing. He's been fighting. He's been building the team.
Yep.
He also helps here with whatever I need help with. He's like my right hand man. So
Yep.
so he's been a huge part. And now, just the other day, this is going back to our first conversation, we had so many people on the mats. There's actually people training off the mats.
Oh, really?
We didn't have enough space. Right after the fights, Jose fought on the card. He looked amazing. It's all just like a culmination of this momentum we built as a team. So, so he's been a big part of that. Then with our youth program, Alex Reaver has been doing a good job putting together a program with that. I've been helping him with that as well. And the 4 to 6 year old classes right now are big. That's also the most difficult class to coach. And I challenge anybody out there, because there's a lot of people out there that they'll bring their kids, it's just, and it is a skill like nothing else you've ever done.
Yeah.
Controlling kids.
About a 5-second attention span.
Oh man, it's crazy. But I'm passionate about teaching them jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So how do we get them on track long enough for them to learn? So a lot of the stuff we're doing, you're not going to find anywhere near us.
Yeah.
The things we're doing with the kids is obviously not every day is going to be great, but with the things we're doing and how much focus and effort we put into it, there's just no one in the area that's going to be able to compete.
But that age range, though, it's more about having fun. I mean,
It is
obviously,
about having
you
fun,
want to teach them, start teaching them technical moves. You want to teach them discipline, but at that, it's more about having fun and just.
But you can't have fun if you don't have control of the class.
Yeah.
If you don't have control, no one's having fun.
Yeah.
And so the most important thing in that age is control. Like if you're not controlling the class, good luck. So there's a lot of things we do in that class control-wise, and it has to be fun. But before it gets to the fun, we have to have an organized structure so those kids know kind of the pecking order. Because if the kids think they're in charge,
you're in trouble.
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
And sometimes they think they're in charge. They're kids. They want to test boundaries and they want to do all that, and it can be a little frustrating sometimes. But we do a real good job taking control of that class and then making sure they're having fun.
Nice.
So,
have you brought on a lot of new coaches?
No, we haven't brought on too many coaches. Justin Weaver's another coach I've brought on, I think, since our last conversation too. Okay. He's been doing an amazing job. He also fought on that last card. He's been kicking so much butt just with his fundamentals no-gi class. So he's wrestled in college. He's been doing jiu-jitsu and MMA for, I want to say 10, 15 years, somewhere
Okay.
in there, 10, 15 years. Just a stud guy. If you look at him, he looks like he's the guy.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
he has a great personality and he does a good job. He's another guy that has been brought on recently, and he's another reason why the fundamentals classes have been growing so much too. He has good, structured, organized classes. Sometimes I'm like, all right, we got to slow it down a little bit, but for the most part, he does a really good job.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea runs the front desk, so she's been doing a great job, really handling all the responsibilities that we have. You know, learning how to run a business, we have roles. You know, so I think a year and a half ago when we last talked, I was a little overwhelmed with everything too. And then coming out of COVID, now we're well past COVID. Well, maybe it's coming back. Who knows?
Yeah.
But since we're so far past that, I feel like we're finally now like catching fire.
Yeah.
You know, we got an amazing momentum going on, and then an amazing coaching staff. So, and then we'll see how Rachel does. I'm sure she's just going to be a great addition to the team.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hard work's paying off.
Got Chelsea, Justin, Jose, Alex, and Rachel. I don't think I left anybody out. No, I don't think I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I went back, I told you this, I went back and I listened to bits and pieces of the old episode, or the episode before. And when I asked you what you wish you were better at in your business, you said everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to follow up with that, and I wanted to ask you specifically, what's one thing that you think you've gotten better at?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a couple things. First thing is I've at least recognized that I can't be working in the business as much in order for the business to grow. I have to be working on the business. So a good little idea that, I don't know where I picked it up. There's a lot of people kind of talking to me all the time. So trying to delegate more and trying to work on the business has been huge. The other part is learning to be a better leader. And I'm not a natural born leader. I'm not the guy that out in front, you know, with all this energy all the time. I'm an introvert, so it's hard to say I'm that outgoing guy that's just building all these relationships and just so happy about them. You know, it's not that, but recognizing that there does need to be standards.
Yep.
There does need to be a point where I need to have difficult conversations with staff or members. You know, so what I've really done a good job of this past year is initiating those difficult conversations and not letting them linger.
Yep. And
what that's done is made my relationships within the gym really healthy. They can always get better, but for the most part, I have, I would say, a good, healthy relationship with each one of my coaches, and then obviously with the members. You know, we have a great relationship with our members here. So,
how hard was it to delegate?
It's still very hard.
Yeah,
it's still very hard because you relinquish part of your control or what you feel is control, and then nothing ever meets the standard. You're always thinking, and this is another conversation I had with a buddy of mine recently. He's like, no one can do the job better than I can.
No one will ever love it as much as you do.
Yeah, and we had that conversation last time too, and it's hard, but getting in the habit and the routine of delegating, and then if things aren't meeting standard, you have to have those conversations and you have to adjust. So I have done a good job of letting go. Okay, I'm not liking it. We're changing it, right? You know, so I think there's two ways of looking at it too, where sometimes you feel like you just need to let go of control, and whatever happens is going to happen.
Yep.
Right. But on the flip side of that, you don't want to let control of it because you want to have this extremely high standard for it. But really, it's a combination of both of those. If you let go of that high standard, the whole thing falls apart, right? If you just let somebody run with it, right, and you're not communicating what you're expecting,
right?
So there needs to be a balance of, okay, I'm gonna let this person do it, but I'm constantly nagging at this. Well, and they shouldn't even have to nag half the time because they already know the standard.
Yep.
So I feel like that's kind of reinventing the wheel a lot of the time. I think that's what being an entrepreneur is sometimes. Excuse me, sometimes. But
has there been a little bit of reward though in seeing your coaches grow? Because I think that's part of delegating too, is if you can bring on the right team members, you may not be the most outgoing person. And so finding people out there that are more outgoing, that kind of portray maybe the image that you want to have, but is not necessarily in your personality, and then seeing them flourish and grow. I've said this before on the podcast, that's an unintended consequence of starting your own business is when you get to a place where you need to bring on people, having them get to a place where they are able to shine and they're doing something that they love, and to being able to coach them through things that they can do better, and just not constructive criticism, but saying, okay, I think we can get better here. Here's maybe do it better this way, and you're not coming down on them, but you're saying, hey, you're doing a great job, but I think you could do better, and here's the standard, but it needs to be. But I think that's great to where people can love what they do, and to see them flourish. I think it's an amazing part of being a business owner that I don't think is talked about enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of good feeling coming from the coaches.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we do a good job of that, the members feel that. You know, they get that good energy as it comes in the door.
Yeah.
And our coaches have good energy, and I feel it's because we do communicate. We have our team meetings when we talk about what could be done better. We hold each other accountable when things aren't meeting standard. But we also talk about the things that we're doing good, And sometimes for me, it's hard to focus on things that are going good because I feel like we could always do better, So part of being a leader is.
And sometimes you're always dealing with problems.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to see the good things because if you do try to take your way, if you're trying to get out of the business and you're working on the business, a lot of times all you get is the problems.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I laugh because I feel like, I'm constantly putting out fires.
Yeah.
There's a fire here, or have to have that conversation over here with this person. I have to make sure the energy's good. I have to make sure people are getting over whatever they're over, and then they're moving on, and then they're fully focused on coaching. Because our vision as a team is to have this be a full-time gig for each one of the coaches, and to be on salary. I kind of model my vision a little bit off of what's going on in Omaha with one of the biggest teams and gyms in Omaha, and they have like 400, 600 members depending on the month. That's a ton, and their coaches are paid salary. They aren't doing anything else. They're getting paid more than teachers are. So it's doable, especially since we're the only ones out here. But in order to get there, coaches have to be fully invested every day, and that requires me to deal with a lot of problems.
You kind of have to be. You kind of have to be the. If there's a duck on the water, the small business, the owner. If you're doing it right, you are the. Everything looks good on the outside, but it's you're the legs underneath the water that are just going like crazy, making things go. And as long as you can take care of things on the back end, put out those fires, and give your coaches the freedom to do what they need to do. And it's just whether it's what you do or it's your employees that can go out and whether they're doing sales or whatever it is, you've got to make sure that you free up their time and give them the ability to do those types of things. And it's not always the funnest position to be in, though.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, pretty accurate. I feel like I'm running around a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on, especially when we're like, for example, we have a youth jiu-jitsu competition coming up. We're hosting it. So then our team, which is awesome, Chelsea's kind of the most organized person out of the team, so she organizes the event, and we kind of fill in the spots. But we're just coming off some fights, so we have some fights, and before that we did a fundraiser like 2 weeks out. So it's a fundraiser, fights, and then another tournament. So it's just like there's always something going on, And then while that's going on, I'm figuring out how to market the gym better.
Mhm.
We're adding classes. We're reaching out to past members or people that have done the trial week, and there's just so much going on all the time. It feels like a frantic pace.
Yeah.
Even though, you wouldn't think Kearney, Nebraska, but we're constantly busy, and we need to be busy.
Mhm.
We need to be busy, or else we're not growing.
Right.
And if we're not growing, we're going stale and old, and we're getting left behind.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that, I guess one thing I wanted to talk to you about, as you talk about the marketing side of it and adding classes, and maybe it's just me since we last talked, because I've followed your pages on Facebook, Instagram. You guys got YouTube going now. You said you've got a podcast. It seems like you do a really good job promoting your kids' classes. You do a good job promoting your fighters. To me, it feels like you have really ramped up your social media from the marketing side of it, and you've done a really good job. Has that, have you enjoyed doing that, first of all, and has that contributed to the members you've been able to add and the success you've had as far as, growing the gym?
Yes and yes. So we have done an incredible job as a team to just create a ton of content. And I do love creating content because you get to control the narrative a little bit more. There's a certain way I visualize the gym, and that's not necessarily how other people visualize it. So for me to have hands-on ability to create content and put it out is awesome.
Do you do the content?
I do a lot of it,
Okay.
but a lot of the team does a lot of it. So there's a sharing of what we all do, and we're always going back and doing more. So we do the videos. So the first YouTube videos on YouTube, on our YouTube page, were I made those.
Okay.
So I filmed them and I edited them and I put them on there. So that was all me. But as far as the reels and everything else we're doing, that's a lot of it's Josh, Chelsea, Alex, and myself. We're all constantly putting stuff together. Also, Anna Zeider, I don't know if I said her last name right, but Anna is a photographer. Her son comes here.
Okay.
So she was able to take pictures of our first youth tournament, and blown away. She's a super talented photographer, and it's just like, that's the vision I have. She's capturing these really intimate, pure moments with the kids, where they're smiling or they're excited or whatever it is, and just the term was like part of a lot of the kids that were competing were 4 to 6 years old, and most tournaments aren't going to put that kind of effort into capturing those moments.
Yeah.
But to have a good photographer in the building and capture those moments, I was like, wow, that was awesome. That was really, really great. So she stocked us up on content for months. I still have pictures I haven't posted from that tournament. So yeah, it's just a team effort, and it's very collaborative, and I do enjoy it. That's why eventually you want to own a production company.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved with the editing or anything like that, but I want to hire people to capture what's in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a service that you could offer to other gyms, that are maybe in a position where you were at when you were first starting and just trying to grow.
Exactly.
And it's not something that's on their mind. They're just trying to keep the doors open.
Well, eventually, hopefully it's not someone else's gym. It's another one of my gyms.
Right. Well, yeah, there you go.
So,
I wanted to commend you because I can see, and just talking with you, even just in conversation, like you've put in the effort. You've put in the effort of the YouTube page. I think the podcast is great, even though it's not you doing it, but as your team members, I think that's even better actually, because you get them involved. And it's great that they're willing to buy in, and they're like, we'll all help with this. So I think you guys have done a really great job promoting the gym.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And with the podcast, I feel like more people are excited about it. And the reason they're excited about it is not because I'm on it. I've been on it once. They're excited about it because it's almost like a neutral party came in and is doing this thing, and now they get to interact and kind of be themselves without me kind of lurking in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes I am, but just to make sure things are going good. But yeah, they're excited about it. You know, there's within our small community, it's been something people are talking about. So
Yeah, because the YouTube is more the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, and I only did 2 of those. I want to get back to doing more of those, but we did a little docu-series for our training camp, and that was behind the scenes stuff leading up to the fight, and I had a lot of fun doing that. It's just, you know how things are, it's all time consuming. You want to be good at something, you want to put all your time and effort into it, and I just couldn't justify doing that and then running the business at the same time and being a coach.
Yeah.
So, but goal is to find someone that's all in, and goes all out on being a videographer, and have them create something amazing on YouTube. So
nice.
Hopefully we can get to that point in the near future.
Yep. So what would you say, you've told us what you feel like you've gotten better at since the last interview. What do you feel like is it the social media side, something that you feel like you still need to work on that can take this to the next level?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I'm coming to the realization of where I need growth, you know, and I was telling you I'm the bottleneck of my business, so I'm understanding that better, and it is about delegating, but it's also about having systems and standards in place so people aren't second guessing or undermining the standards that we have, and they're operating under this understanding and agreement that we're all in, and we're high energy people. We're at it every day.
Yep.
There's no excuses, type of thing. So the area is creating business systems and working on my business, not in my business. And that's really the area of focus is this next year. If I want to get to 300 members, I have to be the guy working on the business, not in the business.
Yep.
And it's really, I had a little bit of ministry experience when I graduated college, and the way the church looks at the body of Christ, you know, everybody has a different function, is basically how you should look at business. So business is, everybody has a role. It's a body. Your business is a body. So someone's got to be the eyes, someone's got to be the legs, the hands, and to really understand that deeper and continue to invest in the business from me being outside of it is the thing I want to do this next year. Hopefully I can quit being so stressed. You know, I carry a lot of that stress every day, I feel like. But if I can step back, I think that'd help a lot.
Yeah, it's easy to get sucked back into.
Yeah.
Really easy. Really
Yeah.
easy. You think something will be simple, and it ends up taking 2-3 hours out of your day, and so.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's just nature.
Yeah.
You know, you've been doing it for so long. It's hard to rewire your brain.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you're doing you're building new pathways within your brain I can't think that way anymore. I gotta think this way. And then you forget, and then you're back to your old habits. It's like, okay, I can't do that anymore. Good.
You kind of have to figure out also a new way to find joy in your role, because I mean, you've got to figure out a new way. Like for salespeople, it's getting that sale. And if you're in a role where you're a business owner now and you're not the one that's selling, you've got to figure out how to get joy out of, you know, watching other people get that sale, or helping the business grow, or whatever. So you don't get to do maybe what got you started in this as a business owner. You've got to find a way to find joy in other ways. So that can be difficult.
That's definitely something I could get better at.
Yeah.
It's finding the joy in the things. My first instance was just jump right back in there.
Yeah.
So it's,
It's tough. Hey man, it's been great to get to talk to you again. Tell us more where we can find out more about Kearney Combat classes, things like that.
All the information's on KearneyCombatSports.com. If you're wondering about the class schedule or anything like that, it's all there. You can email us through the website. You can call us or text us through the website, and everything's on the website. You can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook at Kearney Combat Sports, or you can just come in through